Well, thank you.
Uh, my first question is about Secrets Declassified. What kind of ride can the audience expect from this show?
Well, I think what I really liked about the subject matter of the show was that some of these cases are of kind of world historical significance, and some of them are kind of funny and weird and odd. So there's a real kind of a flow to it. Some of these cases, Cold War cases, MK Ultra, people will or UFO phenomena, people will know, or they'll think they'll know. They'll have ideas about what the story is, but these are actual. This is the government story that has been classified for quite a while for all these stories. So it's interesting to see both the high and the low of it.
Great. So were there any cases that really surprised you or that stuck with you while filming?
Well, at this point, we're kind of numb to the idea that, government could do anything. And I guess we just go, oh, that makes sense. So not so much surprise, but there are certainly new insights into, as I just mentioned, like MK Ultra, or I was just talking about Plague Island, where where the government was trying to, create bioweapons before stuff like that. It's fascinating to see that what you think, we think we're living in a time where everything is unprecedented. You see, this has happened before.
That's right. So I
So
gotta
whoever,
ask.
so I guess the lesson is whoever is up to this kind of stuff in the present day, know that your secrets are going to come out in 30 or 40 years. So you better,
Oh,
Santa is watching.
do you think anything from you know right now could be declassified in a few years?
That's the law, it's kind of a wonderful law.
Mhm,
Yeah.
it is. I gotta ask you this: did working on this show make you feel like a little bit a Fox Boulder in real life?
Well, no, not really, because I was just saying this in an interview. When you're portraying a character, you're not really, there's what you're saying, there's your dialogue that's written for you, but what's important for the actor is to make it real, what's underneath. So even if the subject matter is paranormal or aliens or whatever, that's not what the actor is kind of dealing with. So I never really, none of that stuff ever really got into me. I was just trying to fill it. I was trying to fill that stuff up. So no, I don't think so. It didn't put me in that space.
But do
Because
you
again,
think it
yeah, go ahead.
um maybe playing Agent Boulder in any way approached you to this kind of themes and
Uh, I mean, I'm sure, I'm sure there was some kind of a connection that the producers would like to that. Um, yeah, I don't think they were looking for, you know, the author of the novels or Hank Moody or something like that. I'm sure they were probably looking for something like Fox Mulder-ish.
you kind of avoided similar things since the X-Files. What made you say yes to this kind of
Well, because
project?
this isn't acting, like if you had said to me, be in this movie that it was like this, or be in this scripted television series, fictional television series it's like this, I would say no, I've done that. But this is a different animal. This is hosting, this is presenting uh, that documentary type show. It's very different.
And that was my next question. How different is to host a show compared to acting in one?
Oh, it's very different. You know, you're just trying to, when you're hosting a show like this, you're trying to be a bridge between the audience and the subject matter. You know, you're just trying to present some kind of a conduit to them and be a good host. You know, it's a lot simpler than being than trying to make a good performance as an actor.
Great. And Mulder believed in lots of conspiracies, of course, some of them paranormal, as we were saying. You yourself are a believer or more of a skeptical person?
I'm a skeptical person.
Yeah, totally skeptical. You don't.
Yes, I'm a science-based person.
That is great. It's great to hear because there's so many people out there who
Yeah.
who are not. And what kind of declassified stories or topics would you hope to explore in the future season or
I don't know. That's what's fascinating about this show is that it's very surprising. It's very surprising what comes along. I look forward to seeing what else they have. I don't know. I don't know what the second season would look like.
I'm sure Brazil would have lots of
Yeah,
topics to fill
I bet they would.
a complete season of
Yeah,
stuff
let's do it.
happening here.
As long as I get to come to Brazil, I'm all for it.
You've
All right,
been
one
here
more quick
before?
question.
Okay.
That'll be final
Uh,
question. Great.
Uh,
Have you been?
uh, have
You
you
can
been
finish the
here
question.
before, David?
oh, have I been to Brazil? No, I've never been. We've talked about touring with the band down there or touring South America with the band. It's just we haven't gotten it together yet. I'd love to. I mean, I would love to come to Brazil. Where are you in Brazil?
I'm in Sao Paulo. It's not,
Yeah, yeah,
the most touristic city, but of course,
yeah,
you will
yeah.
be really welcome here,
All right, I'll keep
and
that in mind.
I'm sure all over Brazil because everyone loves all of your shows, not only the X Factor,
Thank
but
you.
Californication and
Yeah,
I mean, great career.
Thank you so much, Vitor.
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much,
It's
Have
a
a
David
great
pleasure.
and
day.
Shona. Bye
Ple-
bye.
Yeah, we
Pleasure.
appreciate
Bye.
you. All right. Thank you. That was the first of 5 Latin America interviews. Next up, Susanna.
Hi,
Okay.
All right. Susanna, you're on.
thank you. Hi, David. I have just been enjoying this new show so much, and I'm very glad you're doing it yourself. So, why was it that these things are true, and we know that they did happen, called your
Yeah.
attention as a producer and as a host?
Um, I've purposefully stayed away from kind of X-Files related shows, scripted shows, um, just because I thought, you know, we did a really good job, and why go back? You know, why try and do it unless we were doing it again? Um, but when this came around, it was like, oh, this is a different aspect of it. This is just hosting. I'm not acting. I'm not trying to play a character. I'm not doing the same character. I'm just trying to reveal these kind of both shocking, sometimes world altering, and sometimes ridiculous activities that went on and that were classified and hidden. And we have a wonderful law, at least we still do in this country, who knows for how much longer. But you do have to declassify after a certain amount of years, which I think probably works in some way as a rein on people because they know, I mean, maybe not in their lifetime, but they know that eventually people are going to find out what they did. And that's what the show is kind of about.
Well, it's fascinating. There's like different aspects to it. For example, Argo, we did see the movie, we knew about it, but now that we go into it and profoundly into it, I think we get to understand many of the other aspects, not just the story. It's
Yeah.
why did it happen, right?
Yeah, and I that's very, very good because I think what these stories on the show do is they really boil down the motivations into the very human motivations that they are. They may be misguided, they may be um, bigoted, they may be short-sighted, they may be morally wrong, but they're all kind of understandable when you see, oh, they were trying to do this. That's ridiculous that they were trying to do it that way, but I kind of get it, you know.
Yeah.
Not that you can forgive or not, you're supposed to forgive, but just it boils down these big kind of world historical events into very small human motivations.
I also believe that history itself, it's one of our last, and I think it's happening all over the world in different ways, but it's our last resistance to ignorance that is being used so much to manipulate people. So is that also a reason you decided, or is it interesting for you to go into this particularly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of, I mean, I'm a believer in that there are facts,
Yeah.
and you know, we live in a world now where people seem entitled to have their own set of facts, and uh, obviously that's very dangerous and distressing. Um, and I can't imagine that somebody would see the show and go, that's I can imagine that they'd see the show and they go, well, that, you know, that's a cover up. That's a lie. That's not true.
Right.
So that's where we are now. I don't know how we get out of it, but certainly, as I said, the only thing I can hope is that if we keep the laws intact of declassification and things like that, then hopefully that acts as a at least somebody on your shoulder saying, well, you know, you may get away with it now, but you know, 30, 40 years, if anybody cares, you're going to look like a real asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I agree totally. Anything in particular you would imagine if you were doing this show 15 or 30 years from now, what kind of stories would we be telling? Would it be the same kind of stories, or is it completely different? What would be your guess?
I I think it's different now, to be honest with you. I think it's different because at least in the American situation that we're in now, you know, half the things that I read daily in the newspaper seem to me to be things that government used to want to cover up, and now it's just out in the open. I mean, we have a pay for play president. We have a president that is selling policy. Um, you know, get personally being enriched doing policy. This is something that would have been covered up to the highest levels. There's just no way um, that a president could ever have enriched himself. Uh, and now we
Yeah.
see it. We see it daily. We see it in crypto. It's horrifying. So if that's what they're doing out in the open, who knows what they're doing in private? I don't know how.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that's scarier than aliens,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. It is.
Yeah, you're somebody that you're known all over the world and you're beloved all over the world. I know in Mexico you certainly are.
Thank you.
And the
Thank
fact
you.
that you tell us these stories as yourself, not as Mulder,
Yeah,
not as Hank, whom I love, by the way.
yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
But the fact that you yourself are putting yourself out there almost or basically as a journalist yourself,
Mhm.
is that something that means, is I know you're also a writer, so is that something that goes with all of that that we probably haven't seen in your career before in the rest of the world?
Um, I mean, I like engaging in conversations, whether it's philosophical or psychological or historical. I have a podcast where I talk about failure a lot. My books are, you know, about people, but fictional people. So I, I guess I have an impulse to tell stories, but I also have an impulse to tell true stories as well, like anybody else. So. I've never tried to be a part of any kind of true storytelling before, and I guess this is the first time. I guess that's all I could say to you is like I like a good story, whether it's fictional or non-fictional.
And I think they both serve a very important purpose. But the fact that we're doing non-fictional right now, even though it's stories from the
Yeah.
past, even if it's not that far back, I think that has a particular purpose right now. And I insist, I know that in the United States, there's a lot going on with that, but here in Mexico as well, we're also working through new laws to be able to get the information right.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it works as a, like I said, it just works as a little check where you go, okay, well, I'm getting away with this now, but I'm not going to get away with it forever, you know.
So
Amazing. Oh, Susanna, this will be quick last question.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So what would be the story that most impressed you that you didn't expect it to go that way, that you found out doing this show? Which one of the stories, sort of, which kind?
Uh, I don't know. There's just so many of them. I think I always come back to I'm just fascinated at the whole, you know, the MK Ultra, you know, the drug. It's just fascinating to me when, you know, having lived through, you know, the 80s and the Just Say No stuff to watch big pharma take over psychedelia and pain management and all that stuff. It's just fascinating to see how drugs are weaponized and politicized, and you can go from the 60s where drugs are kind of expanding consciousness and spirituality, and then certain people in the government go, oh, but how could we weaponize it? How could we create, you know, mind reading or mind control or Manchurian Candidate, or, you know, Hitler had a whole army full of meth fiends, you know, and they were super soldiers and this kind of stuff. So it's just fascinating for me to see um, an issue, not an issue, but something like mind expanding drugs go through all these different kind of variations of like saving your life, opening you up to God, or it's going to save our politics because we're going to be able to manipulate other minds, you know.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate this time and thank you. I've never walked away from something I've seen you do where I haven't
Thank
felt more
you.
enriched. So thank you.
Thank you.
Very,
Thank you
very
so
Appreciate
much,
that.
Susanna. We really
Thank you.
appreciate you always.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So
Thank
much.
you.
Good evening. All right, we're going right over to Romina from Chile, who has already joined us. Romina, you are on with David Duchovny, of course, and you'll have 8 minutes. All right.
Thank you. Hi, David. How are you? I'm Romina from El Mercurio, Chile.
Hi, nice to see you.
Likewise, and thank you so much for taking this time to talk to me.
You're welcome.
I wanted to start by asking you what drew you to host this show, and not just host it, but also become involved as a producer.
The hosting aspect is similar to the producing aspect, which is I'm really interested in the project of declassification. I'm really interested in this idea that after a certain amount of time, um, governmental secrets have to come out in the open. I'm not sure if this is the case in many other countries, but it's the case in the United States, at least for today. And I think it's very interesting to discuss because it also puts people, it can kind of tell people today who may or may not be involved in clandestine activities that they may get away with it today, but they're not going to get, you know, in 40 years and 30 years and 20 years, maybe they're dead, but they can still bring shame on their family and stuff like that. So I think it's a good idea. And it's a good idea to get the stories out.
And were any of the secrets that we'll see in the show a real surprise to you, or particularly fascinating to explore more about?
Well, you know, a couple of the stories have already been made into feature movies. They'll be recognizable, but these are just the facts, like the Argo story that Ben Affleck had made into a movie a few years ago. People know about the MK Ultra, you know, they know about mind expanding drugs, experimenting with that, weaponizing them. People know some of these stories. There's also a lot of stuff that people don't know that they're going to find out, but I think it's interesting from both ends. A story that you thought you knew, like Argo or MK Ultra, and then other stories that you never heard of, like, fascination with Greenland, which has kind of come up again recently, or Plague Island, where they tried to create bioweapons, things like this. Things that are more kind of in the news today, but we thought this was the first time these things were happening when actually, oh, there's a history here.
And obviously, the audience connects you to this kind of stories, thanks to X-Files. But are you personally interested in conspiracy theories, and do you have ones that you think about regularly?
Well, these are not really conspiracies, these are these are secrets, but usually they're just a small group of people who are trying to do something. What we're dealing with these days with conspiracy theories is, what I would think of as like the Marvel Universe conspiracy theory, where there's one bad guy or there's a cabal of bad guys who are intent on global domination, when in fact, conspiracies are usually a small group of people who have one end in mind, and shit can hit the fan and stuff goes wrong and it becomes a bigger deal or whatever. So I'm actually an anti-conspiracy thinker, and I think a show like this can kind of shed light on the fact that there is no such thing as a global conspiracy. There are lies, there are things that are done in secret, but there's no big story. There's no huge one story that's gonna one ring. There's no one ring. There's no one story. There's no villain. There's a bunch of villains, and they're all doing different things.
And when this show was announced, you said in the release that you were interested in the more complicated aspects of our lives. Can you elaborate a bit on that, on those stories that you feel passionate about, and maybe not just about secrets, but in general?
I'm not sure what I meant when I said that, but I will say that's the trouble with talking so much or being asked questions is invariably you're going to just say something like I don't even know what that means, but I think I would interpret it today to mean what's interesting about these particular declassified stories is when you boil it down, it's usually just human individuals pursuing smaller ends. Again, it's not a big global conspiracy. It's like I just want to get an advantage of some kind, or I just want to make money. Just very relatable things to all of us. Not I must control the world, but no, I'm going to control this little aspect here. What I'm doing might be illegal, so I'm going to do it in secret, and then we'll see. So I like the human scale of these potentially big stories. You think back on Shakespeare, you've got kings and queens. They're big stories, but they're about human frailty. King Lear, he's a king, but it's about fatherhood and responsibility. Macbeth, another, wants to be a king. It's a big story, but it's really about, is murder possible? Can you live with murder? So they're all human stories in the end.
And going to you a little bit more as an actor, after being part of such a cultural phenomenon like X-Files, how did that influence your decisions as an actor? Did it make it harder for you to choose your projects or easier?
Um, it made it easier in the sense that I was offered more than I was before I did the X-Files. But for a while probably it made it, in my mind it made it harder because I wanted to do other things. You're an actor. You don't become an actor to play one guy. I mean, maybe you do, but I didn't. Um, so I wanted to play other guys and other characters. So when you have a character that is so well known, yeah, I mean, there's going to be, there's always going to be an association. So it can make it harder to kind of disappear into another role. But, that doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
Amazing. Last quick question, Romina. Thank you so much.
Last quick question. I don't know if Mulder is one of them, but are there any characters you've portrayed that you feel personally attached to and you would love to revisit if you could, now that we're all about reboots?
No, I mean, I feel like I've done it, you know, I feel proud of them. And there's nothing that I would open up. It's not saying I wouldn't do it again, but I have no burning desire. There's no unfinished business there. There are some characters that I played that I wish, you know, could have gotten more exposure, like the movie I made of my novel Bucky Fucking Dent called Reverse the Curse. You know, I wish that these had the kind of exposure that these other characters I played, because I think they're just as fascinating or as successful. So it's more like sometimes I wish some of the other work I'd done had had the exposure of my more noteworthy work, but you know, that's just life. That's just a career.
Well, thank you so much, David, and we look forward to seeing the show.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Romina.
Bye.
Have a great evening.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. All right, I'm letting in. Thank you so much, David. We have 2 more to go. We have Andres from Colombia is being let in right now. Andres, we're ready for you. There we go. Hi, Andres. You can unmute.
Hi,
Perfect.
Shauna. Hi, David. How are you?
Hi, Andres. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you for your time, and I'm very excited with this project.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so
Great.
much. Okay.
You have 8 minutes and you're good to go.
Okay. My name is Andres from El Tiempo in Colombia. Thank you, David, again. From fiction, you have battled to reveal government secrets. The best example is X-Files, of course.
Yeah.
How do you feel now with this maybe real and very organic experience with secrets declassified with David Duchovny?
I think it's kind of like the flip side of the other show, you know, where that you know,
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously X-Files is fictional. It
Exactly.
never, it's drama. It's the characters. And this is really more like a documentary type show, more a historical documentary show where actual classified documents that become declassified with a certain amount of time as per American government law. And then we get the real story. We get to see who the real actors were. We get to see what the real actions were. And it's not about legitimizing other conspiracies. It's about actual history.
Do you think that the relevance of the show is very powerful, considering that we live in a world with artificial intelligence and technology that can we create a lot of lights every day?
Yeah, I think we're just, you know, at the beginning of it. I think we're just 10
Okay.
years, 10 years at the most. We're
Uh-huh.
into this new world where our devices that we hold in our hands and that we communicate through have created an alternative reality and alternative facts. And I think we're in a bad place where it's hard to communicate with one another because everybody seems to think and has been taught that they're entitled to their own set of facts. Oh, I think you froze. I think he's frozen.
I do think he's frozen as well. Oh no, Andres.
I do believe that he's frozen. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Happens to the best of them.
It does happen to the best of us. Oh
Okay.
no.
Um,
Cesar, the next journalist is not in the waiting room yet. Otherwise, I would just go to them right now.
yeah, otherwise, meanwhile, he gets connected. Let's continue the conversation. What, as you is ever, I mean, I know you cannot see myself. As you know, Latin America is very famous for
Oh,
so
he's
many.
back.
And this is
Okay,
here.
sorry.
Andres,
Hola.
vamos.
Hi. Hey, David, sorry
Please
for
go.
this issue.
That's
Okay.
okay, Andres. I know it's not your fault. I believe it was.
Go to the question. Go to the question.
Go ahead.
It
Go
was.
ahead. No problem. Go ahead.
It was obviously a conspiracy to get us to stop talking. Is what happened.
Really? Yeah. Okay, David, beyond entertainment or debate, what do you think is the added the main idea, the main concept value or value of this program in your personal opinion, of course?
Well, I think it's both. You know, I think a program like this. I mean, it's obviously it's on television. It wants to be entertaining. You know, it's not on public television. So
Mm.
the idea is, you know, whatever do you find entertaining? Do you find information entertaining? Do you find declassified secrets entertaining? And then there are some of the actual cases that are very weird or funny, you know. So there's kind of a very there's a oh
Yeah.
we've lost him again. Oh no, you're back. You're back. There's a broad
Yeah.
spectrum. There's a broad spectrum of, you know, declassified cases where, you know, there was nuclear Armageddon was a possibility, and then there's just
Mhm.
silly people up to silly things that are funny.
Mhm. David, how could you describe that moment when you received the call of the people of history, maybe to say, "Hey, I want you for this project. I wanted to be a
Yeah, well,
part of this project."
basically, I spent a long time, you know, staying away from science fiction since the
Uh-huh.
X-Files,
Uh-huh.
and I'm very careful not to live in that world as an actor. So this can, because I feel like, okay, been there, done that, you know, and this was not as an actor, so this was kind of as a presenter, kind of as a host.
Mhm.
I thought, oh, this is very
Mhm.
different. This is not me trying to portray a character in the space.
Mhm.
This is hosting a documentary style program with subject matter that is pretty interesting to me. So I thought I'd
Mhm.
say yes.
Okay, okay. Uh, David, did this job change a little bit your ideas about power or politics?
No, but it made me think about the government mandate to declassify after a certain amount of years, because I think it's a very good law to have, that eventually everything becomes declassified, because you know, you may be able to get away with shit today, and you may be able to get away with shit next year, but 30 or 40 years, it's all going to come out. You know, eventually the truth is going to come out. So I can only hope that that makes people think twice before they do stuff that they might be ashamed of or that they know is wrong.
Amazing.
How was
Final question, Andres. Just want to call that real quick. Thank you.
okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, David, thank you so much. Just a little bit, very quickly. How was the production for you? How was the experience of the production? You recorded your voice in a
Yeah,
studio, maybe you saw the
yeah.
images. I don't know. How come what that?
Well, it was different. I'd never done anything like that before, where I tried to host or, you know, we talked a little bit about kind of taking people through the story, you know, teasing them with certain information and then taking them, you know, keeping them interested. There was some storytelling aspect to it that I was interested in, you know, as a producer as well, to make the
Mhm.
stories come alive with the resources that we had, with the storytelling resources that we had. So it was different because I'd never done anything like that before.
Okay, thank you, David. Good luck
Thank
with
you.
this season. We'll see you
Thanks.
soon. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Andres. All right,
Bye
we
bye.
have
Ciao.
good
Bye.
night. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, David. I've been a fan for decades, and now I'm personally a fan because you're a true
Oh,
person
wow.
today. I really appreciate it. We're going to Virginia, and then we are finished for the day. And you
All
can
right.
get
Thank you.
together.
Thank
No
you.
worries. Virginia, you could turn your camera on when you're ready. Hmm. She's in the room.
Virginia, prende tu cámara, estás en mute. Mute, Virginia. You are in mute, Virginia.
There we go.
Virginia, ahora te escuchamos, perfecto.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sí,
We can hear you.
vamos, Virginia.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you. Good afternoon. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Virginia.
I'm sorry, I have a problem with my camera.
I see that.
My first question for you is, how do you decide to participate in this project?
I like the concept of declassifying information after a certain amount of years. I think it's an interesting law that we have here in this country, and I think that it possibly having a show like this will put the present government officials in mind that whatever they think they're doing in secret today is going to come out, even if it's 30 years from now.
Okay, this project is very interesting, but which declassified file shocked you or surprised you the most during your investigation?
I think you know the story of Plague Island, where there was bioweapons, where the government was trying to create bioweapons, seems so topical. So coming out of the pandemic, it's so interesting to me to see that things that we thought were unprecedented. Often there are other instances of it happening throughout history.
Okay, how did your past experience playing Mulder in the X-Files influence your approach to this documentary?
Not at all. I mean, if on the X-Files, I'm an actor trying to create a human being. It has nothing to do with the subject matter. The words are just the surface level of something. For an actor, you're trying to fill it up as a human being. So it was never about what the show was about. That's not what an actor concerns himself with. So it's maybe it's hard to understand as being an outsider to acting, but it's hard for me to explain how little the subject matter has to do with what I'm doing as an actor. When I'm being a host, yeah, it literally is about the words. It's just me speaking the words to you and trying to get you through the story. So it's night and day. It's two very different things. And I wouldn't have been influenced at all by my work on the X-Files on this.
Okay, and what difference did you notice between working on a fictional production as an actor and now leading a not-fiction documentary?
I think that what I just answered is probably the answer to that question as well. You know, one is a creative endeavor, and the other is more of an educational, perhaps, or conversational, hosting. I mean, I consider it to be almost like hosting a dinner, you know, to talk to the audience out there. It's very different from creating a character or trying to portray a character in a movie or a television show.
Okay, and for this project, you serve as both executive producer and host. How did you balance those two responsibilities during the production?
It was really the same. I mean, it's the same idea because I would, you know, we're telling these stories and we're kind of teasing them. We're aware that it's entertainment. It's not just information. So we want to tell it as a story. And you want your host to be able to draw you along into the story. So the host has to be believable, and the story has to be, you have to tease the story in a way. You have to keep the cliffhangers coming. So there was some discussion of how to do that in terms of how I would present it.
Okay, this project talk about some topics like Area 51 and secret medical experiments. Which subject fascinated to you the most?
It's hard for me to say. You know, I mean, for me, it's an answer that I give when I'm asked as an actor, you know, what I'm interested in, because I always say I'm the last person in the world to be interested in it. It's like, what are you interested in? You know, that's kind of what we do. We're trying to get you to take the journey, get you to be interested in something. What I'm interested in is, like, I'm the last person in the world to have to be interested. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'd rather hear what you thought was interesting.
Okay, so what do you
Amazing.
hope?
Last question, okay? Thank you so much.
Okay, and for the last question, would you be interested in a second season exploring secrets from other countries?
Oh, that's interesting. You know, for me, it's always like, what are the stories? Am I interested in those stories? Do they seem like they're dramatic enough or interesting enough, or you know, of interest to enough people? Yeah, I mean, I'd be open, of course, but it's always a story by story investigation, isn't it?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
Good night, Virginia, and have a great day, David. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
You're good to go.
Bye.
Have a great time in Canada. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Good night, everybody. Thanks for your time. Thank you so much. I'll be sending you the footage
Gracias. Bye bye. Thank you.
tomorrow. Bye, Cesar.